So for many years we've been doing research to control quantum bits and to program quantum bits. And at some point we thought, we should really bring this to the world.
Somebody anywhere in the world using a web browser can ultimately program the quantum computer and run it. That to me is amazing.
The name Quantum Inspire actually reflects what we want to do. We want to inspire people to work with quantum computers and to actually get very excited about quantum computing.
On the one hand, we want to use it as a showcase of technology. On the other hand, we want to use it as a platform that helps develop new applications.
I think every time you have a project at which end you have to deliver something which will be maintainable and robust, you need to deliver a certain quality. And that can happen only if you have really good planning, people management, and if you have good stakeholder management.
Today we're having the first tryout of our 2 spin qubit system. Actually, the worst thing that can happen to us is that we blow up the chip. It's a stress test, so we're actually putting some limits on the system.
Today was a very important test. It was the very first time that the system was tested all in one. For me, what's exciting is everything else that has also come together before, from the people who make the chips to the people who wire the fridges.
The most rewarding part is seeing everything working together. Hitting a button, knowing everything that's going on the back end. It's what we've been working for a long time now.
There's a lot of debugging to do, a lot of features to add. I'm aware we have a lot of work to do. I'm optimistic we'll get there.
We're now in the midst of the Corona crisis, and so all of us were calling in from different locations. And of course, it's quite fitting that the Quantum Inspire platform is also meant to be exactly that. We're giving online access, but then to real quantum bits.
So we know how normal computers change the world. We see the potential of quantum computers. So it also makes you realize that you are maybe working on something that has an enormous impact on the future.
It's exciting. It's also uncertain, what are the reactions going to be, and I am curious to hearing the response of the community.
Welcome to this unique web-based ceremonial launch of the Quantum Inspire, the EU's first quantum computing demonstrator in Europe. It's my big honor to moderate such a distinguished list of speakers, and because this is not my usual work. But I usually work with startups, I lead Tech Leap, and my name is Constantijn van Oranje. Today we're not working with startups, we're working with deep science, but with a twist. It is science in its most innovative form. It's where it is actually turns open to other users and it turns into innovation. And so I guess it's like a pre-startup, but it's also uniquely European. It's open, so it's non-proprietary, and it enables the use of 2 qubit types. So it's the world's first quantum computer demonstrator based on spin qubit technology. My first speaker of today will be Her Excellency Minister Ingrid van Engelshoven. She's a Minister for Science, Education, and also of Culture. I know she's very passionate about science, but in particular about how science impacts society. And she will elaborate on the importance of science, of innovation, of impact, and of collaborations between the public sector and private initiatives. And also between the Dutch innovation system and what's happening in the EU. She will be followed, or her intervention will be followed by the launch, the formal launch of the Quantum Inspire demonstrator. Minister van Engelshoven, may I give you the floor? I hope, does it work? Do you hear me? Do we have a connection?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Constantijn. Can you hear me?
Yes, very well.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, scientists, Commissioner Gabriel, I didn't see you yet, but I hope you're here. Good afternoon and good to talk to you all through this video communication. And I believe at this moment, nothing is more important than worldwide cooperation in hospitals and between governments, laboratories and companies. Your scientific colleagues in laboratories are working overtime to find a solution that will help us worldwide. And many eyes are currently focused on coronavirus research. But of course, every branch of research and science benefits from good collaboration between colleagues and disciplines. After all, knowledge is one of those things that grows when it's shared. That is why it's vital that you meet each other digitally today to discuss your area of expertise. I would like to congratulate QuTech and Surf-Sara on this fantastic quantum computing platform, a platform that facilitates research and entrepreneurship, but also trains a new generation of professionals. Your guiding principles are, of course, open science, open data, and open access. Just as a technique of quantum computing can be a huge accelerator, so is the public availability of knowledge, data, and the right tools. Quantum Inspire, therefore, is a shining example, and it's in line with my 3 ambitions for Dutch science: to have global impact, to be connected to society, and to be a breeding ground for talent. I believe in your efforts and want to use this moment to thank everyone of QuTech with this result. This would not have been possible without the dedication of TU Delft, TNO, the Dutch National Research Organization, the Ministry of Economic Affairs, and the HTSM top sector. And what I think is admirable as well is the fact that the entire quantum community sets the bar high for itself and for every initiative that follows, because Quantum Inspire is the first open European quantum computer that's accessible to the cloud. You are aware of how pleasant that will be doing your work. This promises first-class cooperation. A lively quantum computing ecosystem in Delft, full of labs and companies, suits the Netherlands as a country with a strong belief in public-private partnership. Quantum Inspire is therefore perfectly in place here, in an environment of talent, startups, and investment opportunities. It is hopeful to see how QuTech and the quantum community have developed in recent years, and this has only been possible thanks to close cooperation in a strongly connected chain of knowledge and research. It once again proves the importance of cooperation, both nationally and internationally, and between knowledge institutes, government, and businesses. And the presence of EU Commissioner Gabriel here today also illustrates that fruitful cooperation with the EU and its member states is key. Especially during challenging times like this, it's of utmost importance to keep working together if we want tomorrow to be better than today. Ladies and gentlemen, the administration strongly believes in creating the right conditions for progress, and quantum technology offers great opportunities for solving social challenges, now and in the future. So in the end, it's you who can bring us progress. And that's why I would like to say thank you for your day-to-day work. Thank you for having a strong and vibrant quantum community of which you should be proud to be part of. I hope to be physically present during future conversations, but for now, I wish us all an inspiring meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister van Engelshoven. May I now invite you to the formal part of this ceremony and actually launch the Quantum Inspire by turning on the QI platform.
I will do so. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was it. It's launched. We started. And that gives us an opportunity to go to our next speaker, who's someone who's been very actively involved in this process, Professor Lieve van der Sijpen, professor at QuTech and soon to be its new scientific director. So congratulations, Lieve. Lieve will enlighten us on his vision on quantum computing, QuTech's mission, and the goals of Quantum Inspire. And after his pitch, Rector of TU Delft, Tim van der Hagen, and CEO of TNO, Paul van der Krom, will elaborate on their collaboration and the interaction between science and innovation. But first now, we have Professor Lieve van der Sijpen.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I started working on quantum computing experiments more than 20 years ago. I was completely fascinated by quantum physics and all its counterintuitive predictions, and the prospect that some of the most profound aspects of quantum physics, superposition and quantum entanglement, could be used to solve problems that no supercomputer could tackle really blew me away, and I literally couldn't sleep of excitement. Today, I still feel the same excitement, which is quite remarkable. The fascination just doesn't go away. But something important has changed. For many years, the application potential has felt distant and almost abstract. But in the last few years, it began to feel very concrete, that it really will happen. There are 3 reasons for this. First, there are major technical advances. Second, we have coupled science and innovation. And third, we have started to engage end users. The technical advances include improvements by many orders of magnitude in preserving fragile quantum superposition states, essential for quantum computing. We also created novel concepts for scaling up to millions of qubits. The second point meant a completely new way of working. It was clear to us almost 10 years ago that the real technology would not be developed by just a small team of physics PhD students in isolation. And from this realization, we founded QuTech, a partnership between Delft University of Technology and TNO. QuTech is a rapidly growing, mission-driven research center for quantum computing and quantum internet, where we aim to develop scalable prototypes by bringing together world-class scientists, top-notch engineers, and the best industry partners across all the disciplines required. Third, we know quantum computers are very good at computing the properties of molecules and materials, which in turn can impact our health through better drug development, and the energy transition through better batteries or superconductors at room temperature. By working with potential end users, as a community, we're gaining a much better understanding of how to apply quantum computing to a variety of real-world use cases and how they may impact society. Today, I'm very excited that we bring some of the fruits of this work to the world through Quantum Inspire, the first European platform that offers online access to real qubits, the first platform that hosts 2 different qubit technologies, superconducting qubits and silicon spin qubits, with excellent potential for scaling up to the millions of qubits needed for real-world applications. With Quantum Inspire, we aim to inspire, to educate and engage a new generation all the way from high school students to entrepreneurs and end users. This is the real thing. Yet today's launch is only the starting point. Our vision is for Quantum Inspire to be the Dutch and European gateway to quantum computing. I expect early adopters to experiment with the platform and use it for the development of new applications of quantum computers. Curious students can play around with algorithms, familiarizing themselves with a radically new technology. And entrepreneurs will leverage the technology and applications developed through Inspire to create economic activity. I want to thank the entire team that has worked very hard to make Quantum Inspire possible. I thank you for your attention, and I hope you will get quantum inspired.
Very much so, Lieve. Thank you very much. I was allowed to ask you still one more question. Now the platform is there, the demonstrator is running. How you get people to engage with this topic, which is pretty difficult for people to understand in general. So how are you going to get these wider communities to engage with your platform?
That's a good question. Actually, Quantum Inspire is already being actively used by students. We pre-released a version with a quantum computer simulator, and students all over the world are already using it. We have 1,000 registered accounts and expect many more by using the platform in the exercises of our massive open online courses. And next to the training of students, we want to stimulate the development of quantum applications by training professional software developers to work with the quantum computers, together with experts from around the country. And finally, it's my hope that showcasing our technology will boost startups around us, and that we will actually hear in a moment from an example of such a startup. And so in these ways, I envision that we will create the next generation of ICT. You could call it QICT.
Thank you very much. We'll be moving on to our next speakers, Paul and Tim, who are the main shareholders of this venture. Paul and Tim will elaborate on how this unique collaboration will drive the development of quantum computing in the Netherlands and the EU. Each will have 2 minutes, and I will like to invite you to start your contributions now.
Thank you, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Since 6 years, QuTech is a truly unique collaboration, also from an international perspective. A unique collaboration between the scientific excellence of TU Delft and TNO, the largest applied research organization in the Netherlands. 1 year ago, a highly qualified international review committee, chaired by Professor Robert Dijkgraaf, director at Princeton, unreservedly confirmed the success of QuTech. The report stated, and I quote, "The collaboration between the scientific excellence of TU Delft and the business development expertise of TNO places QuTech in an outstanding position to translate its research results into quantum technologies and business, and has the potential to come to full fruition in the coming years." And that's exactly why we're here today. Today's worldwide market for quantum technology is almost non-existent, but is expected to grow rapidly. McKinsey reports an expected worldwide growth to a more than $30 billion market in 2040, and they also state that the additional value creation in other sectors as a result of quantum technology is likely to be multiple. Dutch universities and knowledge institutions are at the forefront in fields such as quantum materials, quantum computing, quantum internet, and quantum algorithms. In addition, the Netherlands are particularly well positioned when it comes to complex systems engineering and in integrating technologies into working high-tech systems, which of course is crucial for innovation. As an applied research organization, TNO's specific role is to translate scientific concepts into working prototypes. The Dutch National Quantum Technology Agenda, developed in close cooperation with the entire field, describes what is needed to further develop quantum technology and to translate it into added economic value for the Netherlands and, of course, for Europe. It aims at creating the Quantum Delta Netherlands. Actions and programs ranging from research and innovation to supply chain and market creation, talent development and social embedding must lead to the Netherlands becoming a key player in a vibrant European quantum ecosystem with global impact, and thereby ensuring Europe's technological sovereignty in quantum technologies and applications. And today, the first milestone is presented, and I think we should all be very proud of this. Now I would like to ask Tim van der Hagen to share his views.
Thank you very much, Paul. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, today we are all congratulating the success and results of QuTech, the initiative we founded 6 years ago. And let me tell you, these 6 years were no easy ride at all, because bringing together people from various backgrounds, different disciplines, like TNO engineers with a business-oriented perspective, and academics with their creative spirits, mathematicians, physicists, computer scientists, and electrical engineers, was truly challenging. They had to learn to speak each other's language, they had to learn to respect each other, and they had to learn to cooperate. But that is exactly where the magic happens, in the space where disciplines and approaches meet. I myself am a strong advocate of the convergence of disciplines because that is what we need to address the grand societal challenges. Now, TU Delft has a strong commitment to top scientific research and education. And the Quantum Inspired is designed for both. Researchers throughout the world can access it freely and carry out scientific experiments in an open manner. And in fact, that is truly different than the model that is presented by some commercial players out there. We will also use Quantum Inspired to train the workforce of the future. By opening up several qubit types, we can experiment and learn which qubit turns out to be the better one. Now, we do have a unique position in Delft, but also in other parts of Europe, for instance in Austria or France, the quantum hubs are of world class. And I believe it is of strategic importance to develop these strong European knowledge positions into economic and societal value. And that is why I am so pleased to have Commissioner Gabriel here. It stresses the priority that the European Commission gives to this initiative. Europe should join forces and should take up the challenge to develop a European world-leading technology and industries. Thank you very much.
For actually doing my job for me, which is great. So I don't have to introduce the next speaker, who I'm very excited to introduce, Commissioner Gabriel. And it's especially an honor because you have been former commissioner of DG Connect and currently the commissioner of DG RTD, and therefore you have actually seen all of the aspects of this incredibly powerful technology, and you understand very well what the potential is. And therefore, we are very grateful that you would enlighten us a bit on your vision of Europe and what quantum computing will actually do to impact that. And it's a big honor that you take the time off to be with us, be it virtually, and obviously we hope to receive you soon in full physical form for a demonstration here in Delft. But can you enlighten us with your keynote speech? Is there a connection?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, good.
Thank you very much, dear Minister, dear Professor van der Hagen, dear scientists, dear ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to join you today. I wish we were meeting under different circumstances and that we could be together physically, but in a way, a virtual launch seems very fitting for a new quantum computing platform. Today is an important step forward for Europe's quantum future. With Quantum Inspire, we are paving the way for Europe to unlock the full potential of quantum technologies. Because by harnessing the power of quantum technology, we can build a smarter, more sustainable and more secure union. And I'm confident that Europe can lead the next quantum revolution. The EU and its member states are more committed than ever to securing our quantum leadership. To maintain a leading position, it is crucial that we take the next step by investing in pan-European quantum infrastructure, scaling up public and private investments, working closely with industry, and building up a skilled quantum workforce. And if we are to succeed, we must pull together as a union and collaborate across member states and with our partners around the world. Governments, universities, industry, all of us, we have a role to play in translating our common vision into reality. And this is my message to you today. There are so many things that we don't know about quantum physics, but there is one thing we do know. It is vitally important to continue investing in its research. Thanks to quantum technologies, and that was already said by Mr. van der Siepen, we may never have to face a pandemic like this one again. A quantum computer that can simulate the behavior of molecules would help us develop new medicine faster than any traditional computer. A quantum computer could simulate the spread of a virus or help us optimize supply chains and help defeat a future pandemic before it ever begins. We find ourselves at the dawn of a quantum age that could crack the world's most complex and most pressing challenges, from healthcare to climate change, from agriculture to security. Nothing will be the same again. And quantum technology will transform every aspect of life as we know it. And in doing so, they will create new markets and with them new jobs and chance for smart and sustainable growth. This is why quantum computing is so important for Europe. And we are in a strong position to play a leading role in this quantum revolution. We have the most state-of-the-art research infrastructure. We have the best research teams in the world. It's no surprise then, for example, that investors are turning their interest to Europe. According to the latest State of European Tech report, of the 222 million euro in venture capital raised by quantum computing companies globally this year, 58% went to European startups. And Europe, at the same time, was quick to see the potential of quantum computing, and we acted fast. The EU has been funding quantum research since 1998, but the groundbreaking moment came in 2018 when we launched the quantum flagship. Yes, at that time, I was Commissioner for the Digital Economy and Society and leading the European Union's quantum agenda. And our ambition, it was to consolidate our scientific leadership in the field and position Europe as a leader in the global quantum industry. With a budget of 1 billion euro over 10 years and mobilizing over 5,000 researchers and industry partners, this is an initiative without precedent, unparalleled in its size and mission. And the Netherlands were so important, instrumental to the birth of the quantum flagship back then. And your government today remains firmly committed to realizing our quantum vision. I'm very impressed with what you have achieved here at QuTech at TU Delft. With Quantum Inspire, you are bringing quantum computing to a much wider audience. Engaging more and more people with the technology can open the door to new scientific discoveries that we could never have imagined, very much as the pioneers of classical computing did not anticipate today's digital economy. And I want to congratulate each and every one of you at QuTech for making this possible. Today, the European Union is more committed than ever to realizing Europe's quantum ambitions. In a few months' time, the European Commission will be unveiling a forward-looking and comprehensive new European strategy for quantum technologies. This will focus on 4 key areas. First, we must build pan-European quantum infrastructure, starting with world-class computing and simulation platforms. We must also continue our excellent progress to develop and deploy a quantum communication infrastructure across the EU, EuroQCI, to help secure our critical infrastructure and at the same time keep our data safe. The Netherlands were amongst the first 7 member states to join this initiative last year. Today, there are 24 member states, with 4 countries signing up earlier this year. And from 2021, the Commission's Digital Europe program will help us realize these ambitions. Second, it is crucial that we continue to invest massively in research and innovation. The Commission will provide substantial support to the quantum flagship under the new Horizon Europe. The flagship's strategic research agenda, written with more than 2,000 quantum experts across Europe and updated only last month, will be crucial to steering the work of our quantum researchers over the next few years. Third, together, we must build a competitive industrial ecosystem by involving European industry, from the biggest firms to the smallest startups, in the development of new quantum technologies and applications. And we must invest in people. We need people that they have the right skills to work with quantum technologies. And with the Commission's Digital Europe program, we'll support training and skills development in quantum too. That's why, to build a stronger quantum future, it is also important that we inspire young people across Europe to take up quantum research careers and equip them with the skills they need to take the field forward. The Erasmus Plus program already offers digital opportunity traineeships in quantum technologies and other digital fields to university students across Europe. There is a wealth of talented and curious young Europeans just waiting to make quantum dreams a reality. And it is our job to help them get there. Finally, to secure Europe's quantum future, it is crucial that member states work more closely together. By uniting innovative talents from across the EU and the combining academia and industry on this scale, the quantum flagship offers a unique opportunity for all of Europe to benefit from this revolution. No country should be left behind, and we must collaborate with our partners around the world. Now more than ever, it is clear that working together across borders is the only way to tackle the challenges we face today. Global pandemics know no borders, so why should we? Ladies and gentlemen, quantum computing holds tremendous opportunities for Europe to tackle some of the toughest challenges we face as a society. Many of these are critical to act on now, like climate change or new medicines to eradicate pandemics. To maintain a leading position, it is crucial that we take the next step by scaling up investment, working more closely with the industry, and cooperating across borders. But today, we are celebrating an important milestone towards achieving Europe's quantum future. And you can all be very proud of what you have achieved here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your support to QuTech and this initiative. And now I think we come to the point where we can actually see if the demonstrator works. So maybe you can give the QI platform a spin. Working.
Computer in T-minus 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Launch initiated. Welcome. You've logged in on the Quantum Inspire web interface. Which qubit type would you like to select? Spin qubits selected and ready to be programmed. Let's give the quantum computer a spin. Let's run a qualification algorithm. Programming the qubits. Running algorithm and sending to server. Translating algorithm into code. Sending code to signal generator. Sending qubit control signal. Going to low temperature in dilution refrigerator. 20 degrees Celsius. Minus 100 degrees Celsius. Base temperature reached. Entering quantum processor unit. Programming qubit 0 and 1. Manipulating qubits into superposition. Manipulating qubits into entanglement. 4 possible solutions to algorithm. Running algorithm on processor. Most likely outcome. 1, 0. Sending results to Quantum Inspire web interface. Quantum algorithm carried out successfully. Qubits are ready for next algorithm.
Well, now that Quantum Inspire is live, we obviously want to know a bit more about how it works and how it will be used. And we got together an incredible panel of experts here. With us in the studio, Richard Versluis, who's Principal System Engineer at TNO Delft and System Architect of Quantum Inspire. We have with us Menno Veldhorst. He's the roadmap leader of the QuTech Academy. And Adrian Rol, co-founder of Orange Quantum Systems. You all have 2 minutes to enlighten us a bit on what you're doing, and then if there's time, we'll have time for a little Q&A, and we hope to give our audience a bit of a glimpse to what the future entails.
Yeah.
Okay. Richard.
Well, thank you, Constantijn. Well, today is really an exciting day, and I'm really happy and excited to be here, because what we show here today is the combination of excellent research and great engineering. And I'm really proud of the team that we have. We have a lot of control engineers and software engineers, great scientists and system engineers who all put this together. And today we're not launching only the first quantum computer available online in Europe, but we're actually launching 2 systems with 2 different technologies at the same time, which is really an achievement. And this also makes them ideal testing platforms for future use cases. The first system that we're launching is based on superconducting qubits. And although it's not the first system of its type available in the world, it is the first system of its type available in Europe. And they really have really fast gates and really accurate control accuracies with this system. The second qubit type that we're launching is based on semiconductor qubits, also called spin qubits. And spin qubits are actually based on standard CMOS technology, which is actually the type of technology that's also used in your mobile phone or your laptop, which makes them excellent candidates for future scaling to millions of qubits. And that is what we actually need to solve some real world problems that we want to solve with quantum computers. So I'm really proud of this system, and I'm really looking forward to the next steps in this development.
Thank you very much. Menno Veldhorst.
Gentlemen, as we've heard today, quantum technology has great potential to provide enormous computing power and to deliver ultimate secure communication. Simultaneously, it builds upon one of the most complex theories that we know of. And therefore, it's of utmost importance to educate quantum technology to students and professionals, to engage society, and to co-design with industry. To me, Quantum Inspire is the perfect tool to achieve this, and to take quantum technology out of the research labs and connect it to future users and developers. For example, the simulation platform of Quantum Inspire has already been used with great success at Delft University of Technology to educate students with backgrounds varying from physics to electrical engineering and to computer science. Now that quantum hardware is becoming available, new opportunities arise to educate university students. And furthermore, the online availability of Quantum Inspire allows to make contact to industry and society, not only in Delft, but also at the national and European level, preparing users to become ready for quantum technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Menno. Adrian Rol, I'd like to give you the word.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here on behalf of Orange Quantum Systems, a new startup that's focusing on setups for research into quantum computing. What we really want to do is build on this knowledge, also knowledge that's been developed with the Quantum Inspire, and really build the quantum computer together with our innovation partners, which is other small companies in Delft, and of course QuTech. And what makes Quantum Inspire so special to me is that actually building a quantum computer forces us to work together in ways that we've never had to before. And this allows us to validate not just what works on a technical level, but also what works for an end user or an algorithm designer. So that's something that's really interesting to me. And on a personal level, I've had the privilege to experience this during my PhD, when in the past I worked on a predecessor of the Quantum Inspire, where I worked just on the superconducting qubits. And there I could work with people from all sorts of different expertises and really experience what this is like. Now, today I'll be sharing my views on what a platform like the Quantum Inspire can mean for the startup community around this Quantum Institute. Thank you.
Thank you very much for enlightening us. If I hear, I hear that there's already a startup and we now have a demonstrator. Obviously, there's always been the question: when is there a quantum computer? And I understand that there's already a quantum computer, and there will be one maybe in 20, 30 years' time, and it will just develop further. So maybe we'll pass that question and say, well, can we compete as Europe with the US and China, with their research budgets, with companies like Google and like IBM? Are we in a competitive position to them? Maybe Richard, maybe you can enlighten us on that.
Yeah, it's actually a good question. And although I think we're actually already on par on a certain topic. So if you look at the innovation power that we have and the research throughput that we have and the excellent engineering and research, we are already on par, I think, with some of the bigger companies in the US. And it's no mystery that the US companies are eager to invest in Europe, and they seek collaborations. And also in Delft, we are already collaborating with different parties. But I think it's also important for the EU to do investment themselves. And in the US, the companies are more prone to take risks. They are eager to take risks. I think in Europe, we're more conservative, and we need the help from European governments, national governments, to help us make this quantum technology bigger and bigger and to grow this ecosystem. And I think maybe even Adrian can tell a little bit more about that from his business perspective.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Thank you, Richard. So I think there's another very relevant consideration on top of the innovation power and the funding you highlighted, but that's really sort of how do we do this? What is our approach? And I think we should not try to beat the Americans at their own game, which is trying to build a big monolithic company that is good at everything. Rather, we should look at European examples like Airbus, ASML, where they really form a collaboration of world-leading experts that work together to provide a superior product. So in a similar way, what we should try to do is we should try to form an ecosystem where we create the entire value chain with small companies that all excel in their individual specialties. And that's also very much aligned with efforts like the Quantum Delft ecosystem, which we are a part of.
And how do you do that? I mean, a lot of it is about talent, right? You have to attract talent, and talent requires capital. So, and if you have a big company, obviously it's much easier to deploy that capital. How do you see this ecosystem developing when the finances are still largely dependent on the public sector? Maybe Adrian, can you enlighten that? And then I would like to move to Menno on the talent part.
Yeah, I can definitely answer that. So, in fact, we thought about this a lot when we're talking in Delft. So we're already forming really these collaborations with all the other small companies. And one of the key ideas that we have is that all these individual companies, they should be self-sufficient. So, for example, good friends of me of Qblocks, they make electronics. And the idea is that they have something that can already be sold today to the R&D community. And by having every individual component, meaning the people who make the electronics, the people who make the wiring and the cables, people who make the fridges, system integrated as such, that we can all work independently and have a small market we can start with that allows us to test and validate whether this works. And then you can start building on that and make these relations grow. And that's a way that you can do this. Essentially, I mean, there's still going to be big investments needed, but without the massive monolith approach that's common in the US. And of course, it's the risk that some of these aspects are not as excellent as all the rest of it.
Yeah, and then Menno, how do we retain the talent in Europe? I mean, with huge budgets overseas, isn't it the most obvious choice for our talented people to go to the research labs of those large companies? And how do we retain them here?
Thank you. I think one key word is excellence. I think we should actively attract talent. We should provide the highest quality of education. And Quantum Inspire, in fact, will directly contribute to both of these. Furthermore, we should provide an interesting work environment in the Netherlands and Europe. And that's not only about salaries. The work we do should be inspiring, should define the state of the art, and it should be meaningful.
Wow. Okay. Well, I that you'll find those people, and I'm sure that that indeed the collaborations that we have in Europe and also within the Netherlands will largely contribute to that. And once you've got a functioning ecosystem with entrepreneurs coming in, that dynamism will lead to further developments. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and expertise with us. We have to move on. The program is very strict. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we move to the closing part of this session, I just want to make one short intermediate statement. Because I want to thank someone, a special person who's been very instrumental also in QI's development and who is not here at the moment, who also decided to take the incredibly risky step to move towards entrepreneurship. This is Harold Alberts of TNO, who is also the co-founder of Orange Quantum Systems. And from the whole team, I'd like to express gratitude for his incredible hard work and wish you very well in your next endeavors. May I now ask Your Excellency Minister Engelshoven and Mr. Paul de Krom to make a brief closing statement, after which there will be a Q&A session with the media led by Gerrit Heikoop. Your
QuTech
Excellency.
not only works on quantum computing, also quantum internet is in scope. Results in the quantum internet area will be the topic of future announcements. But for now, I invite you to have a look at the Quantum Inspire platform yourself and try it out. Using it means you'll be as close to quantum technology as possible. And I'm sure you will enjoy the experience. And we will continue our hard work on improving and expanding the functionality of the platform with the latest quantum technology breakthroughs. Thank you all so much for attending this special event today. And now I would like to ask Minister van Engelshoven to share her closing remarks with us.
Thank you, Paul. I look back on a very interesting meeting, and I learned a lot about quantum computing myself. I'm not an expert. I thank everyone for its commitment and the willingness of everyone to share knowledge and to exchange ideas. I think I will close with wishing you all a very good week, and please stay safe.
Well, thank you very much for joining us all. May Quantum Inspire be another step to accelerate quantum computing in Europe, and may it enlarge the community that's actively involved in this incredible technology. And for now, I'd like to thank all the contributors to this special event, especially Commissioner Gabriel, Her Excellency Minister van Engelshoven, Heer Paul de Krom, Tim van Hagen, and our panel, and all the people at QuTech that have made this incredible development possible. Now I'd like to pass the word on to Gerrit Heikoop for a Q&A session with the media. Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Thank you very much, Constantijn van Oranje. If we try to keep 1.5 meters, I'd like to take your spot for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's not disinfected.
Yeah, exactly. I'll wash my hands carefully after taking this place. And good afternoon to you all. Now is the moment for all the members of the press for an exclusive Q&A. Those members who have signed up have received a link through which they can send in questions to us here in the studio, and I will read them out. We have of our panel, we have Richard Versluis, Adrian Rol, Menno Veldzig with us. Also Tim van der Hagen is still with us, and also Commissioner Gabriel and Minister van Engelshoven. And Minister, I hope you can hear me okay, because I would like to start with a question to you, specifically to the current times we are experiencing with the COVID-19 crisis. What effects do you see on the world of science and research in respect to this crisis that we're currently experiencing?
Well, thank you for that question. Well, what we see is a strong science-different approach by our government. All decisions we make are based on science, based on the advice of experts. And what I also observe is a strong public confidence in science. And I think that's very good. And I hope it will remain also after the crisis. I also see, of course, the need to find a vaccine and medicines as soon as possible. Sharing research and results is the new norm. And that's, I'm so happy to see that. And I hope this also will be a strong push for open science, also after the crisis. And on the other hand, of course, I also see delays in research because of the crisis. And I hope we all will be able to remedy that. But after all, it's a strong public confidence in science and a strong push for open science.
Well, thank you. So hopefully, besides the drawbacks, we also have some benefits when we come out of this. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for staying with us. If there's any more questions for you, I will come back to you. First, I would like to address a question to Commissioner Gabriel, because we are celebrating today a novelty in Europe, a first for Europe. But there's other groups, for example, in Germany and Switzerland, who are working on similar steps and programs. So we are curious to learn from you, how do you view the EU landscape in the years to come?
First, as I already said it during my intervention, Europe is in a very good position to be a leader in this field. The key word is collaboration, because we have here a great example how there is a need to share knowledge, to prepare people to have the right skills, and Europe can help a lot. Just a small reminder about our initiative of European universities. We need to prepare our young people not to stay in Europe, but to choose to make a career in Europe in this field. Second, we need partnerships. Again, another good example thanks to this project. In the New Horizon Europe program, there will be a new approach, partnerships with the industry, where we look for more impact-oriented partnerships. We need to strengthen our common efforts in order really to achieve more quickly our goals. Third, we need investment. That's why strong plea to preserve a strong budget in the next multi-annual financial framework for investment and research. You know, the proposal of the Commission for Horizon Europe is 100 billion euro, and even the actual crisis show us how important it is. The investment in research and innovation is not only an investment in the future, it's an investment in our present, in our researchers, in our leadership. And finally, Europe can really help in order to build these ecosystems that we are talking today, in order to be independent and to have our own supply chains here in Europe. And thanks to the efforts of all you that are present today, it's quite encouraging to see that by working together, we can achieve more positive results. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. And it sounds like you're foreseeing a very bright future for this quantum community. Thank you for being with us also today. Richard, a question for you and your colleagues. It reads, as I understand, this quantum computer will first mainly serve practice and development purposes. Within what period do you expect businesses to use these kind of systems? And what do you think the first type of purposes you will see that they will use it for?
Yeah, it's actually a good question, but also a very tricky question, because we are really at the beginning of this development, and the actual way how this let's say endeavor will evolve also depends on the investments that governments and businesses are willing to take. I think it's with a lot of technologies, it also depends on how much energy and effort do you put into something before it becomes a success. So you see some American companies who already invested quite large in projects like this, and they really make big steps. I think in Europe we can also make these big steps if we are willing to invest as well into these things. So I'm really struggling a little bit to say like numbers in this many years. I think it really depends on how much we put into this and how strong we work together. And your second part of the question, which is about the types of things that you can actually do with quantum computers. Well, quantum computers do not solve everything. So with quantum computers you can...
So what do they solve?
Yeah,
where's their power?
Yeah, you can solve very specific types of problems, and they're mainly in things like optimization of things or searching things. But a lot of the problems that we have, real world problems, are in optimization and in searching. So what is the best medicine to solve something, a certain disease? What is the most optimum route through traffic? What is the most optimum way of getting my equipment from A to B? So it's all those kind of problems where quantum computers can actually really make a difference compared with classical systems.
Exactly. Yeah. Optimization, powerful. Maybe I'm curious, Adriaan, you're kind of taking the business perspective on this panel. If you have to answer that question, where do you think the first business applications will start to appear within quantum computing?
This is a very good question. So the real question is, what is a business application? And of course, there are the first things that we are currently expecting are the NISQ, noisy intermediate scale quantum computing applications. But that's still a while away. We need fairly big systems before that becomes useful. But what's more interesting is if you think like, what can we do today? And today there's already a big R&D market because we are not there. But what we need to do is we can already start building the components. We can already start building the value chain. And there's already a market for these tools. And we really need to invest in that now so that by the time the real applications are ready, the systems are powerful enough, we actually, as a European ecosystem, have all these parts already working together. So I think that's really important that we think a bit different about this question, but we should still be aware that this is the intermediate phase and we cannot sustain that forever.
All right, thank you for explaining and thanks for your elaboration. Lieve van der Sijpen is also still with us as a professor in quantum computing. I'd like to hand this question to you, Lieve. If the question reads, it's from Doreen Schenk. If I understand correctly, 2 types of qubits will be available. What is the benefit of having those 2 available, and do they have different applications? So this is a quite deep tech question. Let's see if you can answer your question so also the readers of this large Dutch newspaper will understand.
Yes, thank you. So the first thing that we should note is that currently many or several ways of building quantum bits and quantum computers are still being explored in parallel. And the reason is that nobody has a crystal ball and knows today which one is going to really deliver the millions of qubits that are eventually going to be needed for real-world applications. And so in QuTech, historically, we have a strength in building quantum bits that are built with the same technology as today's computer chips. We think this approach is very well suited for the scaling that eventually will be needed. And furthermore, the 2 types of qubits that we offer today are of that type. They're both built on a chip in the solid state. And so the other thing I want to, the other point I want to make is that the different types of qubits are at different stages of development. Some are already, at dozens of qubits, others are just at a handful of qubits. But what is more important than the stage that they are at today is the ultimate potential for delivering, for scaling, and solving the real world problems. And we think that the 2 approaches that we offer today are very well placed in that respect.
All right, thank you for explaining that. I hope that is clear, and otherwise we'll see a follow-up question appear. Richard, we have a question from Sandra Olsthorn, directed to you. She writes, I understand the difference between this initiative and other existing platforms is that it is an open/free platform. Yeah. Why did you choose this model?
Well, it's not only a question of why, but first to answer that question, it is an open system because we think that's really important to get everybody working together on this. So we try to involve the community in Holland. We try to involve different types of universities. We try to involve different types of startups, like you see one represented here. We think that if we do this in an open way, we can make the biggest and fastest steps forward to actually building a real good system. But it's also true that both TU Delft and TNO are also partly paid by governmental institutes. So that's also a reason, because like Minister from Engelshoven also said, it's also our let's say our obligation even to bring this knowledge to the world, to the Netherlands, to make it most useful as possible.
All right, so it's part of a public obligation and part of
also part of a strategy
accelerator, to do that. Yeah. Well, if I may, I see we still have Tim van der Hagen also with us. Professor van der Hagen, we met earlier where we talked about the future of technology, and we spoke about the either Asian or US technology stack. As Rector Magnificus and President of the TU Delft, what would you say to people say we should protect our IP and we should definitely not be so open with our science, because then the Asians or the Americans will just run away with it?
I strongly believe in exactly the opposite. I think the world has to be fully open in order to speed up with innovation. And that is exactly what we're doing with our campus. We used to have, let's say, an academic campus, and we're turning it now into a sort of innovation ecosystem, where people from industry, partners from TNO, partners from several disciplines and all universities meet in an open, transparent way.
Beautiful. I was hoping you would give us that underlining again. Let's all go for an open space. Thank you very much, Professor van der Hagen. Menno Veldhorst, if you're also still with us, we heard you talk about how you use the future generation and you let them run tests. I have a question from the TU Delta who wants to know, can you give us some more examples that visitors can present to the quantum demonstrator, short of new medicines, climate changes, and controlling pandemics? What kind of tests or algorithms are good to run on this demonstrator?
So actually in last year we started a new minor at Delft University of Technology on quantum information science. And in this minor, a big component was actually the Quantum Inspire, the simulation platform. And so quantum information is built upon one of the most complex theories. It's using really the fundamental aspects like entanglement superposition. And so it's crucial to learn these aspects. Quantum Inspire is really a platform where you can really do algorithms and implement them yourselves, and now even with hardware. So on one hand, I think this far-reaching application, that's where one can think of, but it's really being able to really operate these qubits that make it so lively and so learningful. And I think that's really the key to generate next generations of scientists and society.
Thank you, Menno. And it sounds all very inspirational and exciting here on this little Monday afternoon with our global audience with us. But we have booked our time in your diaries for only the time between 4 and 5. And if I look at the clock, it is already 5 o'clock. Can you believe how time is flying, Richard? Yeah. So with that, we would like to thank once again all people who joined us here this afternoon, both you as an audience member, but also definitely our people on stage, on our virtual stage, in our virtual studio here, specifically EU Commissioner Gabriel and Minister van Engelshoven, thank you very much. But also a big thanks to Professor van der Hagen, Menno Veldhorst, Adrian Rol, Lieve van der Sijpen, and Richard Versluis here in the studio. Thank you very much for joining. There's probably a lot more questions, but please keep visiting the website, quantum-inspire.com. And if you missed the beginning of this broadcast, stay tuned for another 3 minutes, because we will one more time play that beautiful video that explains the making of the Quantum Inspire platform. That's it for now. Thank you all for watching and stay safe.
So for many years, we've been doing research to control quantum bits and to program quantum bits. And at some point, we thought, we should really bring this to the world.
Somebody anywhere in the world using a web browser can ultimately program the quantum computer and run it. That to me is amazing.
The name Quantum Inspire actually reflects what we want to do. We want to inspire people to work with quantum computers and to actually get very excited about quantum computing.
On the one hand, we want to use it as a showcase of technology. On the other hand, we want to use it as a platform that helps develop new applications.
I think every time you have a project at which end you have to deliver something which will be maintainable, robust, you need to deliver a certain quality. And that can happen only if you have really good planning, people management, and if you have good stakeholder management.
Today we're having the first tryout of our 2 spin qubit system. Actually, the worst thing that can happen to us is that we blow up the chip. It's a stress test, so we're actually putting some limits on the system.
Today was a very important test. It was the very first time that the system was tested all in one. For me, what's exciting is everything else that has also come together before, from the people who make the chips to the people who wire the fridges
the most rewarding part is seeing everything working together. Hitting a button, knowing everything that's going on the back end. It's what we've been working for a long time now.
There's a lot of debugging to do, a lot of features to add. I'm aware we have a lot of work to do. I'm optimistic we'll get there.
We're now in the midst of the corona crisis, and so all of us were calling in from different locations. And of course, it's quite fitting that the Quantum Inspire platform is also meant to be exactly that. We're giving online access, but then to real quantum bits.
So we know how normal computers change the world. We see the potential of quantum computers. So it also makes you realize that you are maybe working on something that has an enormous impact on the future.
It's exciting. It's also uncertain, you know, what are the reactions going to be, and I am curious to hearing the response of the community.